What's up, everybody? We're back. We're at it again with another video. Gonna be reacting to "You Have to Let Yourself Go" by Profound Pondering. He has some good stuff usually.
I think that the main thing that stops us from sort of building an identity that we actually resonate with is how much we get attached and stuck on our unchanging self. And what I mean by that is not, just like not liking yourself when you're changing, or not liking what you change into, or not liking yourself at the moment, but not being able to let yourself go. Let yourself change, embracing your own change. And I've been wanting to make a video on this for a minute because I feel like it's something that's super prevalent, especially in this current generation. Not being able to allow yourself to change. And I feel like I was like this for so long. I've been like this. I feel like up until recently, which I hate to say because I like to think that I've been pretty self-conscious of myself for a while. But up until recently, I didn't really allow myself, at least in mind, to change. And I didn't understand why. And it's a lot of the mental condition. I was reading a book called Becoming Supernatural. It kind of highlights a lot of the points of that. It's essentially saying that we kind of get addicted to who we are. We get addicted to the chemicals of our experiences of the past. We get addicted to who we were. And we just loop those over and over again. And I don't know if many of you believe in like manifestation or anything like that, but even on a fundamental level, if you're constantly playing the same thoughts and same actions and reliving those experiences, your body's gonna keep thinking you're going through that. It's almost inescapable. And it's almost like, how can you change when, the situation's occurring at the moment? How can you change when you're reliving the exact experience that got you?
How can you change when you're reliving the exact experience that you are going through on a daily basis? How I think you can change when you're reliving your experience is that you need to grow. You need to not think about other people because most of the time people don't really think about you in the first place. And whatever the experience is, how can you just relive the same experience within a better mentality, better way, better framework, better understanding, better belief systems? Because you are trying to let yourself change and let yourself grow and let yourself go when you are just trying to change, trying to evolve, trying to believe, is what I'm saying.
To the point you're in right now. And I'm not saying just forget. That's hard to forget. Even in my experience, like, there's still stuff that I hold on to that I'm constantly trying to work on. Things in the past that I didn't necessarily like how it went, or feel like I could have handled better, or feel like I just needed a little more insight or maturity to get through. But in saying that, I realized that, no change is going to occur unless I let myself go. Unless we let ourselves develop, unless we make a change. And I'm not saying like kind of intentionally change yourself. I'm not saying forget who you are and not neglect who you were. Because I feel like once we do that, I feel like, on a fundamental level, it might be easy to forget yourself or to act different. Like, I can go out and act like a completely different person, but I feel like it's those cycles. I think another YouTuber named Ryan, he talks about cycles all the time. It's like the ups and downs, but once we start feeling someone, once we start vibing a certain way, we start looping those same thoughts over and over again. And then getting stuck in those same thoughts, we relive those same experiences and we fail to grow as people. I think the first step in letting yourself go, the first thing that I did was stop being ashamed of my own change and wanting to get better.
Stop being ashamed of your changes and know that you want to get better. Whatever your changes are, whatever your things are going through, you are going through changes, you are going through realms, you are going through different frames. And whatever these so-called changes are, only you truly know what you are truly trying to go through. Okay?
Not being ashamed of trying new things for myself. Like I talked about in the video, like how I do affirmations. At first I was like, why would I do that? Like, why would I talk to myself? Why would I say anything to myself like that? I feel like that's kind of desperate. But like one thing I realized, like, you can't be ashamed of loving yourself. That's one thing you can't be ashamed of yourself. You know, like you can be ashamed of your actions, this, that, and the other. But your betterment, I feel like that's something you have to sort of hold on to and appreciate regardless. And I think that's how I got to the point I'm at right now. I feel greater than I ever did. And I read out my list of affirmations. I say stuff every morning, every night. I used to do 3 times a day, but you know, time is just not really on my side. I leave the house, my dorm at like 8 a.m. and I come back at like 10. So it gets kind of hard some days, but on those days where I can, you know, it's important to reinforce those things in your head. Because as I said before, like those negative loops, those negative cycles of thought, you know, you're constantly thinking these negative things over and over again. They have to be combated by something or replaced by something. You know, you can't replace a bad habit with absence. You have to fill it in with something good, I feel like. Like, you're not going to stop, you know, smoking or something and just instead just sit still. You know, you're going to find something else to fill that vacancy. And I feel like a lot of people, we have vacancies inside ourselves. And we like to fill it up with our previous experiences and our own inaction. I think people get stuck and stagnant. And I always use the quote that he who thinks his journey is over is truly lost, and that's what I mean. We're not letting ourselves continue our journey. We accept the connotation, we get comfortable with the connotation. And it's not really comfort within who we are, it's comfort within an idea. Comfort with a definition. Like I used to think to myself that it was more comfortable to have definition, to have that. Not to say that I don't have a definition for myself at all, but to say that being comfortable with myself while I'm changing. And I see a couple of people like that little that bit in my last video where I talked about how you have to be comfortable with yourself while you're changing, not just at the beginning or end. You can't be too comfortable at those sides either. And when I say comfort, I don't mean like don't be comfortable in a sense like don't be happy. I mean, don't be comfortable in the sense that you think that's the end. You know, don't be stagnant. I think there's so much more to life and so much more that we can experience as people that we fail to truly appreciate just out of, you know, our inability to realize our own change and realize our own potential to change. I think that a lot of people can do a lot of great things. I see great things all the time. And you know, I'm starting to think I was right about that a little bit. Not necessarily because of my own growth. Mind y'all, I thank y'all so much. I couldn't express in words how grateful I am to have y'all aboard and roll with me. Like, I don't really know. It's a crazy experience, but like, I've been telling my friends who are kind of creative or do anything, like, just put your stuff out there. Just do it. I've been putting stuff out for 2 years. And like, it's been great every second. I just love doing it. But it's about putting yourself out there and allowing, you know, yourself to change with it. Yourself to change with the circumstance.
And if you allow yourself to change the circumstance, whatever it is you're trying to change, you know that it takes change and it takes discipline and action and unrelieved stress of you actually doing the thing.
I feel like it's too easy to not do anything. Too easy to go through your life and, realize that you could have done something else. Or that maybe your passion was attainable. It's about letting yourself go to explore, but also being conscious and mindful of the implications of your actions. It's real easy for me to say, let go, acting like people don't have, their day-to-day stuff. I have my day-to-day stuff. You can't let go of your full identity. What I mean is let go of the parts of yourself that seek out change. You can't run from that. I think a lot of times we run from our problems without realizing that we're running from ourselves. We're running from the parts of ourselves that need to heal from certain things. Like I myself, I don't want to get too much detail. I feel like I'm already pretty vulnerable, but there's things in my life that I think I have yet to overcome that I still need to. And I'm not really ashamed of it. I'm still working towards it, and I'm finding new ways to work towards it. It's about confronting your problems in a way that makes you feel comfortable, but also creating enough change. Because it's one thing to just acknowledge the issue. Acknowledging the issue in mind, knowing that something's wrong is the first step. It's a beautiful step. I think that a lot of people don't even get to that step. So if you get there, you're halfway to the battle, man. But that other half, that figuring out the application and figuring out yourself enough to change and grow from it is entirely different. Which is why I stress the importance of sort of knowing yourself and being present enough with yourself to know how you feel about certain things. I think a lot of our traumas and stresses can be mitigated with how we feel about them. How we feel about how we connotate it in our minds. I used to have a big fear of public speaking. I used to have a big fear, not necessarily fear, of just expressing myself in public the way I am. And I think a lot of my friends and a lot of people I see on a daily basis can attest that, as the years have progressed, as I've been developing, my personality, I feel shines through regardless of the situation. Of course, I'm mindful, but, and not being ashamed of being yourself, a lot of the stress of social interaction kind of falls out the window. Not saying that I'm not mindful of who I'm talking to, how I'm talking to them, but in finding yourself, which I don't think I've done, I think it's a kind of continuous thing, but in finding out the pieces and parts of yourself, I think it opens doors to more pieces and parts. Just like how gratitude breeds more gratitude. Finding stuff to be grateful for, finding things to appreciate, it puts you on that sort of vibration of gratefulness, gratitude, and love. And if you express that to yourself, that's literally all you can exude. I think I said a quote in another video, loving yourself so much, everything you see, everything you interact with is an exemplar of that love.
You're not tired, you're just making too many decisions, starting with your outfit. Stitch Fix helps eliminate exactly that. Getting dressed is part of everyone's morning ritual, but spring is about renewal. With Stitch Fix, refreshing your spring wardrobe is as simple as filling out a style quote.
You gotta put yourself out there for yourself. You have to put yourself out there to yourself. Show yourself what you're capable of in a way. Show yourself that, maybe it's not. Maybe let me prove myself wrong at this point. A couple of days ago, I'm constantly doing stuff. I've been trying to do stuff just to get myself on my comfort zone and express myself in ways that I'm probably haven't done before. I went to a poetry workshop where initially I was I just like poetry. I'm gonna go and just sit in, listen to other people say. But once I got there, I just started writing, wrote something, and, I performed it. I was nervous the whole time, but I did it. I was happy that I did it at the end of the day. Even if I stuttered once, stuttered twice, I got my message out there. I got what I wanted to get out of it, and I showed myself
Just to add on, you have to let yourself go before you truly become vulnerable within yourself, or when you're truly trying to excel yourself. So that's all I have for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, stay unique and stay you. Peace.